What's up, good people? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Janelle with Cope with Janelle. That's Climb Over Problems Every Day. And we are talking today. It's Tism time. It is Tism time, honey. It's Tism time. Let me take my glasses off. It's Tism time. This is National Autism Awareness Month. So we are in April. And today, April 2nd, is actually National Autism Awareness Day. So, all right, to all my people who have the TISM, as I affectionately coin it as, or my parents of those with children, siblings of those, cousins, grandpa, grandpa, uncles, aunties, lottie dottie, everybody. Um, I honor you all on this day and throughout the month. It is befitting that we take some time to talk about the TISM. And y'all know from, I believe it was my last video that I told y'all that my son has autism, Dallas. So he has been gifted with the superpower of autism. Yep, that's exactly how we phrase it in our house. So before we get all the way into it, I have put in the chat the number if you have any comments or questions. Oh, where is the phone? You can dial in or you can text. Oh, here it goes. You can dial in or text to the Cope with Janelle line. Okay. And y'all can come on in the house. I'm sitting in my office right now. So this is where I normally sit when I do my therapy, and I provide therapy for those that come on in. So let me show y'all. So I'm sitting down and they sit over there on the couch and stuff like that. Y'all see it? So I'm over here in my corner, in my lone little corner. Yep. All right. So let's get into it a little bit. But again, remember, it's that 803-830-0639. If you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and open it up right now so that I can go into my text. All right. Cool beans. All right, cool beans. So I would love for you to just call in or text. I've already gotten a text. Well, I'm glad that you are glad that I have um, decided to have a session on autism. So thank you for reaching out. Okay, I have an 11-year-old son. He's going to be 12 this year. That has been gifted with the superpower of autism. And the reason why we coin it as the superpower, he knows he's different. Shucks, I knew he was different when he wasn't even 2 years old yet. I already knew. Um, but we coined it as that because when you think about it, and he's high functioning, so there are different levels to the functionality of someone with autism for sure. So their cognitive functioning can vary. Dallas is high functioning. We early on, not as early as perhaps I should have, but after I came to the realization that I could not love him out of the TISM, that I could not teach him out of the TISM, that I could not parent him out of the TISM. And I decided, okay, let me get him tested when he was going into his 3-year-old checkup. That's when I put my big girl draws on and I said, okay, we are going in full fledged and we're going to get some assistance. We're going to implement early intervention. Early intervention, my friends, is very much key because Dallas was not, um, originally speaking, he was not using any type of authentic language. His first language was sign language. And his second language I call was scripting. Well, what is that, Janelle? Scripting is when you are just really repeating the same thing that is on a TV show, that's on a movie. It's anything that they've heard that's been said. It's scripting is just like parroting, as almost as if he was a parrot. And here's a funny story. Um, Dallas has been scripting since he was about probably maybe 4 or 5 years old now. He's been scripting. But one of the amazing things about the Tism is that he has like this uncanny gift to script now within context. So even though it's not authentic language, like he's not exhibiting an original thought, so to speak, but it's a repeat of something else, it fits the situation. I was in the process of trying to get Dallas approved for Tefra, for Medicaid type of insurance, right? So that he can get more services. And a person came out to the house to do like an interview with him. And so I was there, wasn't allowed to say anything really, but I'm there just monitoring. And so the lady asks Dallas, and he's like 5 at the time, asks him, well, um, I see that you go to school. Do you like school? And so Dallas goes on this whole rant. He's like, "Oh, yes, I love school. I rode on a school bus. I even got my own cubby. I can't wait to go back to school tomorrow." And so the lady is just writing this down. She's like, "Yeah, oh gosh, this is great." And I'm screaming inside because he's scripting the episode we watched like last night on Bubble Guppies. And I'm like, please, man, please see this for what it is. He's scripting. Needless to say, he got denied for Tefra because he didn't need anything because he's having these wonderful full on sentences and conversations. I said, ma'am, Bubble Guppies. I digress. But that's my little funny. However, so Dallas has been very much able to use scripting and interweave it into conversations seamlessly. I have to often ask him, even now, because he's so much older, I ask him, okay, are you scripting right now or is that authentic? Because he speaks as well as he scripts now, too. Dallas has always been the kid to remember dates, remember these details. He was always very meticulous with items, knowing where XYZ is and remembering directions. If I'm driving somewhere, don't let me take a different route to get to the same place. He's the one like, oh, where are we going? Are we not going home anymore? And I'm like, yeah, we're going home. Yeah, but you didn't turn right on this street. He is there's a gift in there. He's super smart. Of course, he does well in terms of his grades at school. Um, and he is such a talented drummer. I'll make sure to insert a clip here. When I edit this, I will insert a clip of him playing drums. Oh my God, from Zion. He is okay. This boy know how to get down with the get down. But then he also has challenges. Socially awkward, has a difficult time reading social cues, reading the room, um, over being dramatic or overly emotional in response to something that is pretty minute. Um, there are lots of different challenges that he has. And I know that that can be hard dealing with, especially when you're a sibling or when you are, um, oh, yeah, the full meltdowns. Thanks. Hey, Loma. We have full meltdowns from going a different way to anywhere he knows the directions to. Absolutely. You know, but it's hard when we are trying to support those that think differently, just like I think differently. I told y'all before I have ADHD ADHD is best friends with anxiety. They hang out together. They go to the bathroom together. They're tight. They cool. But the way my executive functioning works or does not work, um, early in the morning to ask me a whole bunch of questions or to want to have conversations or doing multiple things at once, that can become very overwhelming. And that's just in my brain. So I imagine my son, okay, he has a lot of different things going on in his brain because he has autism and he has ADHD as well. I'm like, ooh, yikes, you got a double whammy right there. But he has so much creativity, but he just thinks a little differently, or he may speak a little differently. He may socialize a little differently. And so this can become challenging for those around, um, children or adults, teens, anyone that has been gifted with autism. And so I wanted to give y'all a little bit of support today, some ideas. The Autism Parenting magazine put out an article recently, just on different challenges that parents often face when dealing with their children with autism, and they went on to give some pretty good tips as far as it pertains to parents. Let me speak to my parents first. It can be very common to become emotionally overwhelmed when managing the sensory needs of your child that has autism, the emotional needs, the appointments going from place to place. You got occupational therapy, you may have speech therapy, you got this, that, just overwhelmed with trying to be there in a daily, day to day routine with your child with autism. And that can become very overwhelming. It is so crucial, parents, that you not deem rest as a cliche or as you being selfish. There is there is nothing about you getting rest that means that you are selfish. You are not selfish. And as a matter of fact, it is necessary for you to get rest in order to recharge. You cannot use a cell phone to make 18 calls when you're only on 10%. After a while, the phone is going to die. You're going to have to stop altogether and plug it up, right? That's the same thing with us as parents and our bodies. If you keep going without giving yourself a timeout, a moment to rest, a moment to recalibrate, a moment to do a mindfulness meditation, a moment to have some separation, even if that means you go into your bathroom for a little bit and just listen to some calming music, take a bath, something to that effect. If you do not manage your own well-being, you're going to be just like that cell phone. You will be stopped. Our body keeps the score. You will be stopped right in your tracks, not able to keep going forward. You will be stopped, have to recharge, forced to recharge in order for you to be able to resume again. So, as opposed to waiting for your phone to unexpectedly die while you're in mid sentence, make sure you give yourself some rest and recognize when you are becoming emotionally overwhelmed. Okay? Because this life of being a TISM parent can be very exhausting. Um, Another challenge that you may find yourself facing as a parent is social isolation. Because you're, I remember when Dallas was younger, because he had no communicative skills and he had not even learned sign language yet. When we would go out, my husband and I would take him out, and our daughter, and he would just at random scream, holler, have like a whole what I call tism tantrum, in a restaurant. And if y'all know me, whoo, I do not like to bring attention to myself, to my table. anything like that, with anything that would be resembled or interpreted as being, oh, look at that parent, or oh, look at that child, not wanting to undergo any type of scrutiny, right? Um, so there were often times where we were like, you know what, I'm not going to go out with my friends that have asked, that also have children, that bring their children, but their children don't act like that, you know? So I would exclude myself automatically, which also can lead to social isolation. Here's the first thing: if your friends are your friends and they love you for real and not this play stuff that people do with relationships, but if they're your friends for real, your child having the tism or having a tism tantrum is not going to make them not friend you anymore, or um, say, we can't hang out with you. That's the first thing. But secondly, your friends will also be willing to create other environments or other scenarios in which, hey, a tism tantrum will not shift or shape the nature of the gathering. We can meet in our backyard, do a barbecue in the backyard, as opposed to going to a public place, if that makes you feel more comfortable. But we have to get out of our own way, of our own discomfort, in order to remain socially integrated. Okay. Which leads me to the judgments and the misconceptions. The judgments will slap us in the face. The unsolicited advice from people that don't have or know anyone with autism, or, you just need to leave them with me for a week and I'll get them right. Oh, had I known that that was all it would take, I would have sent them to you a long time ago. Okay. Judgment and misconceptions really, they can eat away at us as parents, very much so. The unsolicited advice, the nonstop questions, um, the staring, it just makes life and going out and being in the public eye even harder. There was a time, I will never forget this. We were flying back from New York, because that's where I'm from. And we were flying as a family, and or we were flying to New York. Either way, I digress. We were at the airport, and Dallas started to, have a tism tantrum. And at this point in time, he was a toddler, maybe about 3, still small enough for me to hold, right? And he was having a whole tantrum while we were trying to go through TSA. And so one of the TSA workers was like, "Oh, she's gonna have to shut that kid up. They're not gonna let her on the plane with this kid." And she was talking to another worker, like, see, and I heard that some parents, that phrase right there about took me out. You say some parents. I went in on her. Yes, I know I'm a first lady and I know I'm a therapist, but I know I'm also human and I am a work in progress every day. The Lord is still working on me every day. God bless you. Don't sit on the other side of the screen, talk judging. Don't do that. But I went in on her. I read her like a novel with a review. And she didn't say nothing after that. No, she did not. I mean, there was nothing left to say. And I got on through TSA, picked my son up, and I walked through very proud, very, very proud. Because, like, first of all, any parent knows you're not just going to talk about my child. You're not going to talk about me, but you're not going to say nothing. Not about my baby. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Don't do it. It's a hard pass. Okay. 0 out of 0. Okay. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. But that judgment and misconceptions can really make your life harder. Make sure as parents, you are linking up with people that pour into you positivity, encouragement. Understand that you are doing the best that you can do, and that the only perception that really matters in that relationship is how your child with autism is perceiving you as the parent, the provider, the support, the protector. Okay. As long as they are feeling safe and loved, like you doing, everybody else's opinion really doesn't matter. Because you know what they say about opinions. They're just like, everyone has one. You fill in the blanks. God bless you. Here's another challenge: financial strain, time strain. The therapies, the diets, the vitamins, the uh, toys, or the resources, the different um, textures and toys or things that you have to buy, the ever changing palette. What was good one day for them to eat, they no longer can eat anymore, and will refuse it. I don't care how long you put it in front of them. It is not like growing up as an 80s baby. I'm gonna put this food in front of you and you're gonna eat this for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whichever one you choose, because you're not eating it for breakfast, so you're gonna see it again at lunch, and then you're gonna see it again that is not, you don't have that luxury. You cannot use that as a tool when you are a parent to one with autism. If they no longer can stand the texture, the taste, the smell, the look of it, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. And no matter how you try to sneak it in, they're so good with detecting that they will find out. Okay. Those are some of the challenges that I see that a lot of parents have. On the flip side, let's say you're a sibling of one with autism, right? Oh man. So Dallas has a sister. Her name is Charlie, my little Char Char bear. And um, one of the challenges that often may come up is the differentiation in treatment. We cannot, as parents, do everything exactly the same for them. The truth of the matter is, we don't do everything exactly the same for children that are not diagnosed with autism or ADHD or OCD or anything, any other mental health um, disorder. There is nothing that says, okay, yep, what works for one will work for all. If that was the case, then all of these parenting books that have been written would apply to every single child. And whoever the authors are of those books would be gazillionaires because they would have worked already. Matter of fact, it would only have taken one person to have written that book. But I'm saying everyone requires something a little bit different. My sister and I, we did not get the same exact parenting. There were certain values and expectations that were standard across the board. The same thing applies for my children. There are certain values and standards that apply straight across the board. We're not going to do disrespect. We are not going to lie. We are not going to cheat, steal. We are going to allow God to govern our house. Like that's how we operate in my house, right? But you may need to spend a little bit more time explaining something to your child with autism versus the one that understood right away. There's that challenge of trying to balance what can be perceived by the other sibling as preferential treatment, as being nicer to that other child, as having more one on one time. One way to really circumvent that is to have designated one on one time with each of the children. No matter what the situation is, designated time. Wednesdays are your day, Tuesdays are your day, Thursdays are your day, or I have it all on the same day. At 1 o'clock, I'm with you for this hour. At 2 o'clock, I'm with you for this hour. Like you have to have designated one on one time with each of the siblings in order to try to circumvent that. Another challenge is the validation piece. Um, there is something about when you have a a sibling that has the tism, and my both of my children are young, so they didn't know originally, like, oh, Dallas, you have autism. Charlie, you have ADHD and anxiety. Like I mean, there was no, oh, yes, this is what I have. And let me explain it to my classmates or something. There is just a recognition that my brother or my sister does things a little differently. And that was it, right? But as they've gotten older, I've explained it to Dallas that this is your superpower. Charlie, this is your superpower. ADHD makes you like super creative. There's nothing about you that's dumb, sweet Pete. That's why you've been on an honor roll every semester, every quarter that you've ever been in school. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brains just operate differently. And so that's the constant messaging, but validating their feelings when other children at school don't recognize that these are not setbacks, but gifts to be used differently and navigated around, you know? Um, so validating their feelings, especially if you're the sibling and you're hearing other kids make fun of your sibling that has the tism, that can be very taxing as well, because a lot of times the person with the tism may not even understand that they're getting made fun of, but the sibling that does not have it recognizes it and they're ready to jack them up, or they feel really bad, or they're like, well, why does this have to happen? Why does my brother have to have this? It's not a it's not a punishment. It is not a sentencing for something that the child did or did not do. This is not a consequence. This should be highlighted as this is a superpower. That's what it is. It's a superpower. Extended family, um, aunts, uncles, grandparents, um, challenges that you may face where let's say they've never dealt with, or they've never had a child within their lineage that had autism, or they're just unfamiliar with how to kind of navigate around that child. Some of the challenges that extended family may have is that they're they have already a frame of thinking of how to raise children, or how they were raised, or how they have viewed their families being raised, and so it is natural for us as people to want to fit whatever we have in our life into the mold, into the perception, into the ideation that we have already embedded in us from years and years and years of life scripts and different experiences that have molded and shaped who we are today. However, what worked for me as an 80s baby, or didn't work for me, that has me on a couch and everybody else on the couch, but what may have been done as an 80s baby may not be helpful for a child with the tism. You can't just give me the eye and I have the tism. I ain't gonna know what that eye, I'm not gonna know what that eye means. You know what I'm talking about when I say the eye, like when you were talking in church and that parent has to look at you from their usher post, and all of a sudden you get that eye, you're like, oh, okay. And God said, like, you you straighten all the way up. Let me try to look at Dallas with the eye. He's going to be very, he's going to give me a tism response. Mommy, is there something wrong with your eyes? Like, you cannot do the same thing. And so if a grandparent is babysitting, or you have an aunt and uncle, y'all are getting together for a family gathering or whatever, and they witness for the first time a tism tantrum or whatnot, and they're ready to yoke the kid up or something, wait a minute, because that's not going to give the responses that you want. I don't know if you've ever actually been engaged with a tism tantrum before, but those with a tism, again, it's a superpower. They also get superhuman strength during their tism tantrums, and you will throw out all your backs, your knees, your shins, your arms, and walk out very much scathed, not unscathed, okay, if you engage in a tism tantrum. So we have to be willing, as parents, even to help the extended family learn and understand, not just about the daily struggles that we may face as parents, but of the different type of the differences that come about, through just um, the dynamics of a neurotypical family as opposed to a neurodivergent family. It's very, you have to be willing to educate other family members. You have to be able to, um, as us as parents, try to help the extended family understand without punishment or without aggression or without, wanting to. Okay. But to that same point, extended family, we have to be able to offer support without judgment, without the leave that baby with me for a week. I'm gonna get them gathered up. Cause you you don't worry, Auntie got this covered. No, no, you don't. I think you do, because that worked with Lil Ray Ray. That's not gonna work with this one right here. So we have to be willing to offer support to our extended family by way of education and really just um, modeling some of the things that actually work so that they can see what they could be doing instead. Um, so here's some tips that I wanted to go over with you guys real quick, because I don't want to just give you all information and then you walk away like, well, how do I apply this? Okay. Um, when, let's say, you want to compliment a child or a person that has been gifted with the tism, right? Something that can, and let me preface this by saying we don't mean to harm. People don't mean to be harmful when they're trying to give words of encouragement or words of support or even compliments. However, some things can be interpreted as such because remember, those that have been gifted with autism think differently, and subsequently, their parents also now think differently. It's like being bilingual because they have learned a whole different way in which their child thinks, and they still have maintained the way that they automatically were thinking before gifted with the child. So, there are certain phrases that you may want to stay away from. A phrase that I heard a lot, um, that kind of made or opened the door for a misinterpretation, um, is, oh, your son, he don't look autistic. I get what they were meaning because in the context of when comments like that are said, it's, he is able to have a conversation with you even if he's scripting, or he's done a really amazing job on the drums, or just or he just drew a comic and he wrote all this comic stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I want to show you my comic that I just created," or now he's doing DJing stuff. Well, mommy, let me show you this mix. When a person says, "Oh, he don't look autistic," I know that what they're really trying to say is he is really doing amazing, or he's doing a really good job. Say that instead of he doesn't look autistic, because then it implies that autism is negative. Autism is just a thing, just like I'm nearsighted and some people are farsighted and some people have 20/20 vision. It's just a thing. Let's not make a thing a thing, because once we make a thing, then it's a thing. Too many things for you just then? Okay. Don't want you to be overwhelmed. Here's another phrase that you may want to replace. They'll grow out of it. Extended family likes to say that a lot. Um, that's not really a good, because you cannot guarantee that. And whatever that it is, it could be their coping strategy for whatever they're experiencing that is causing them distress. So we can't really make those comments of they'll grow out of it. Instead, it may be helpful to offer a phrase of how can I help? How can I assist? That may be better. Another phrase, um, or another question that um, that sometimes we are presented with as parents, um, that can become very frustrating and irritating is, are you sure it's really autism? Like, are you sure that they have autism? Um, because I've not met a parent that was like, I really want my child to have autism. Um, that's been my lifelong dream. I've not met a parent that said that. So asking them, are you sure? Are you really sure? Like, did you get a second opinion? Like, because I think it's just, they just being bad. No, that's not, because it's also as hard as it is, as it was, at least for me, to accept the fact that Dallas had autism. It was hard for me to accept it. I denied it for about a year and a half. I knew he had autism before he was even 2. I only got him diagnosed, or tested rather, when he was 3. But I already knew. I already knew. And I didn't want to admit it to myself, because that's a hard pill to swallow. Because as a parent, we go through that guilt. We're like, oh, what did I do? What didn't I do? What causes? What could I have done differently when I was pregnant, or whatever the case may be? You go through all of the things because you're trying to figure out, where did I go wrong that caused this to happen? But this is not a, you did something to cause this. It is what it is. That's it. So instead of saying, are you sure? Further causing them to doubt themselves or have to relive that, offer, I believe you. I hear you, sis. I hear you, brother. I believe you. How can we support? Um, Here's something that I know that y'all mean well. People mean well, the support systems, the friends, the family. And they be like, oh, I read this, or I saw this TikTok. I love that. I saw this TikTok that said you should try this and it's gonna cure this. So I can't tell you how many uh text messages, clips to different magazine articles, um, TV shows. Oh, Dr. Oz was on the other day and he said, try this diet. Or if you take this out of his diet, first off, if you have a child with autism, you already know, and I'm sure I have a huge amen corner. You already know that we are just trying to get them to eat anything that is actually a food item. To get them to commit to eating, having some type of sustenance, is a is a whole feat within itself. So when you try to introduce to me some rabbit food type of diet, and barley and grass wheat and chia seeds and stuff, baby, he ain't gonna eat that. Oh, just put it in his drink. He won't know. Yes, he does. That is the gift of the tism. It's a superpower. They know. You cannot hide a flavor, a texture, an anything, because they know to the letter, to the smallest gram, the difference. They do. So when we hear those comments of, you should try this medication or you should try this diet, um, just offer you know what, your child is awesome. Your child has all this energy. Your child is amazing. offer some words of encouragement. It is okay, parents, when other people offer us advice or support or different resources, because we're always in need of resources. Um, there's no getting around that. Resources are very helpful. However, when we are offering these things, we want to make sure that we're either prefacing this with, listen, I can't say if this is good or not, or if this is going to be successful or not. I saw this though on TV the other day, and I thought about you because you're already doing such an amazing job, and I don't know if this is something that can help, then it'll help you too, just by taking some of the pressure off. You may want to check this out, but if you don't, I'm good with it too. I just wanted to pass this on because I want you to know that I'm here to support you. Like, there are ways to introduce support, but you throwing, have you tried? Oh, you haven't tried this yet? Well, girl, what you waiting for? You should have been done tried this. This would have fixed him a long time ago. That's not it. That's not it. So if you're a friend of or a family member of parents of someone that has autism, I encourage you to do the following 8 things: to listen without judgment, to actually educate yourself on autism, um, watch videos, read the books, look at the different National Autism website resources and stuff like that. It would be very good to educate yourself on autism. Offer practical help. Like, can I cook this meal for you? Would you like me to run an errand? Do you need me to pick up such and such on my way in? Small gestures really go a long way, especially when you are a parent that has to get your kids to this appointment, that appointment, um, lunch or dinner. It's not like you can just, especially if you have a young one with autism, can't just send them in the kitchen to just make themselves breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You could teach them the ways, but if something is out of place, that can cause a whole tism tantrum. So, offering practical help would be really great. Oh, let me come over, sis. I will. I heard you said you were going to have to do laundry. If you wash, I'll fold. Please, somebody offer that to me. Please, please. Okay, because children's clothes, whew, they're the bane of my existence. It's almost as bad as that car riding line. I'm just saying. The fourth thing, be flexible on social plans. Like, I know nobody wants to cancel, and I would want to go out and hang out with my friends as much as I possibly can. Like, I would love to be able to do that. But if something happens with my son throughout the day where he needs some mommy time or whatnot, or I know that he has been socially exhausted and that taking him to a place is not going to be a good idea, then just be flexible with me. Or, create an environment where you have some sensory games or items out, um, activities, or a more quieter, more calm and soothing type of outing that we can still be able to gather and meet the needs of the child at the same time. The fifth thing that I would say, um, for you to be able to support parents of those with autism, is to try to refrain as much as possible from offering unsolicited advice. Every Autism is not the same across the board. Again, I said there are different levels of functioning. And so we cannot treat every child or every person that has been gifted with autism the same way. Each person will require their own unique um, way of kind of like navigating through life. So we have to be able to respect the parenting choices of that child. Okay. Um, the sixth thing, advocate for inclusion. So When I say that, I mean support the schools, programs, aftercare programs that have things that are autism friendly, you know, workplaces, policies that offer autism support. Show that it is beyond your household, that you really are trying to be an advocate, but not just an advocate that they be able to exist. I don't want my child to just be able to exist in the world. I want them to be included in the world. So, really advocating for inclusion. And the seventh thing, check in with your friends, parents of those with autism need you to check in with them. Um, a simple text like, "Hey, sis, brother, you was on my mind. I'm just checking in, see how you doing." That can really go a long way. And if, number 8, I will say, is do not take things personally um, if the person doesn't get right back to you. Like my life as a therapist, a parent of, two young children, one with autism, one with ADHD and anxiety, a wife to a pastor and school administrator, a daughter to aging parents that may require a little bit more assistance or help, a a member of national organizations. Like, time is of the essence. Time is very much a non-renewable resource, and there's not as much as I would want to like go away for a weekend or for a week or just have like fun girl time more frequently. It's important to have it periodically, most definitely, because parents, you've got to take care of yourself. Um, but if it can't happen as frequently as we would want, just don't take it personal if you know that your friend, when you reached out to check on them, they didn't reply back within an hour or two, or they only replied back like the next day, or maybe they didn't reply back and it's not because they didn't want to or that you did something wrong. Maybe they just literally forgot or they were exhausted. They didn't get the text, they didn't get the call because after that tism tantrum, they passed out too because they was tired trying to get the tism tantrum to go down. So I said all that to say this, my friends. Be kind to one another, support one another. Take this month to really learn a little bit more about autism, its complexities, but also its superpowers, and implement some of the ways that I've talked about today on how you can support parents of those with autism and how you can also um, be able to educate your family and work with siblings of those that have autism. All right, good people. Until next time, y'all be blessed and don't be stressed. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.